What's up, everybody? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about physical media, about Blu-Rays and 4Ks, and the way we like to own our movies and TV shows and be able to watch them when we want, how we want. I'm so excited to be talking to you about this stuff in 2021. 2020 was a really amazing year for physical media. Now, it was a very sad year for the theatrical experience, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm as big a fan of the theatrical experience as I am physical media. So we're going to see how that all turns out. But studios weren't putting out new release films. So they took the opportunity to bring us some great catalog titles, give us upgrades, give us new releases of older films and that kind of thing. So for us collectors, it was an awesome year. A few weeks ago, I put out a 4K list, my favorite top 10 picks of 2020 in 4K. And when I did that, I was asked by a handful of people, well, what about Blu-ray? You know, what about other formats? What other new release pickups were your favorites of 2020? So what I decided to do was give you a top 10 list of new release pickups for the year, regardless of format. Now, I will tell you, looking at the stack here, there are no DVDs. You know, there might be a DVD in one of these packages as a second disc, but there are no primary DVD purchases in this particular list. I did pick up a few DVDs. Mostly what I pick up in DVD now are documentaries, because that's just how they come, or sometimes some older titles that have special features on those DVDs that aren't available on the upgraded releases. Devil's Rejects, anyone? Anyway, so I'd like to pretend that I've been taking a few days off for the holidays and hadn't already done this video, but can't do that. This is probably the fourth opportunity I've taken to do this video. I just haven't been able to get it. There's so much activity around the house here for the holidays that it's just been difficult to get the recording done. So hopefully today is the day. Crossing my fingers, this is the day that we get this top 10 list recorded and out to you guys, and we can all start talking about it. So without any further pomp and circumstance, let's get on to it. Let me give you some criteria of how I picked my releases. First is movie. Did I just love this movie? Did it stick with me? Have I even possibly watched it more than once? That is first and foremost. Is the movie good? Second, bonus features. Did we get some cool bonus features? Did we learn something about the movie? Did we learn something about filmmaking from this movie? Bonus features are really crucial to me. I think I've probably said this before, but I've got the Star Wars Blu-ray set. I haven't upgraded to the 4K because I only like 3 of the films. I'm not big into the prequels. I hate the new ones for the most part. So this first 6 films Blu-ray set has incredible bonus features in it, so I keep it. Lord of the Rings box set, I'm going to upgrade to that when the extended editions are out with all the bonus features, because that set with bonus features, I've watched the bonus features more than the movies, and they're amazing movies, don't get me wrong, but I really love that filmmaking aspect of it. So they're crucial. And then thirdly is presentation. Did they do something cool packaging wise? Box art, is it really special and cool, that kind of thing. And you know, some people have argued with me about that. It shouldn't even be a consideration, but fact is, that's one thing we get with physical media that you don't get in a digital format, is we get an artist rendition of what this film is. You know, marketing is there to sell to you, of course, but marketing can be fun and special, especially in catalog titles where the artwork is classic and things we don't get now. So it's important to me. I love good artwork, and plus it just looks cool on the shelf. But it is third on the list. I'll take some shitty artwork if the movie's amazing, or the special features are incredible, or whatever. So that's my criteria. And again, these are not what I think are the best releases of the year. These are the best new releases that I picked up. There were a lot of things that I didn't get that are still on my list to get that I couldn't do at the time because I bought other things, or I pushed them to the side maybe because some things I wanted to buy were very limited, and I hate that, but it's the world we live in as physical media collectors. So here are my top 10. The top 10 through 5 is pretty solid, but 5 to 1, oof, man, these could be flip-flopped around depending on the day, so it's tough. Anyway, 10 favorite picks. So one thing I did new this year is I jumped into some new labels. New to me labels I haven't bought much from before. And the first one that we're going to talk about right now is Vinegar Syndrome. I did a Vinegar Syndrome unboxing of the things I bought from them on Black Friday. The only thing I think I owned from them before that Black Friday purchase was maybe Mausoleum, because I picked that up used and blind bought it and enjoyed the 80s horror movie cheesiness of it. But I hadn't really jumped into that label too much because I know that they celebrate bad movies. And, you know, bad movies are in the eye of the beholder. I know. But if it's going to be a bad movie, it needs to be special. It needs to be something, for me, it needs to be special. You need to be able to look at it, and there should be every reason the movie is terrible. Like this one, number 10 on my list. Blood Games. Blood Games. This was a new release for them this year. Great slipcover artwork. And as I was saying, this movie has every reason. Reversible art. I flipped it around. Maybe I can give you a shot there. I've got some glare happening. And let's see. There's the disc. And there's additional artwork on the inside. They did send me, and I'm not going to go through it too deep because I did do an unboxing of this, but this movie had, I did that unboxing before watching it. And this was a blind buy. It was a great sale. So I just thought, let me give it a try. This movie has bad acting, bad choreography, cheap special effects. It has all the tropes of being a bad movie. But you know what? There's something really redeeming in this film. I believe it was made in 1990, but it feels like it came from 1976. It really feels like that. It's a simple, kind of basic story. A weird story, though. Female baseball team plays a game against a bunch of redneck guys. Redneck guys get beat. Redneck guys attack women. Women go on the run and end up defending themselves. I don't want to get too much more into it than that. But, yeah, I really enjoyed this film. And this is one of those situations where the film is a beautiful transfer, good audio, but the film outweighs some of the other criteria on my list. Beautiful packaging, fantastic, really enjoyable bad film kind of thing. Not much in the way of bonus features. There's 2 interviews on here with 2 of the actors. The lead actress, who eventually became a stunt woman and is still working actively today on a lot of TV and film projects. But yeah, we needed a lot more in the way of bonus features on this, but it's such a fun movie. It should have sucked. There's no reason this should be enjoyable based on typically what you expect from a good movie, but it's really fun. If you're going to jump into bad movies from Vinegar Syndrome, I recommend starting here, especially if you like sort of revenge movies. That's number 10. This one's a controversial one, being so high on my list, I think. Some people are going to vehemently disagree with me. But my next, number 9, is Midsommar. This is the A24 limited edition release in 4K. They did the same release on Blu-ray. At first blush, it's beautiful packaging. It has this sort of fabric cover on the inside. You know, there's the book. Again, I unboxed this on a previous video. The book really just has a bunch of pictures that I can't show you anyway. I love that it's a side loader, by the way. The book has a bunch of pictures I can't show you. Basically, riffs on what's in the film, with a very short forward by Martin Scorsese. This is a situation where this barely made my list. It made my list for 2 reasons. One, it is one of my favorite horror movies of the last 5 years. It's from Ari Aster, who did Hereditary, which is a movie I don't care for. I feel Hereditary is extremely overhyped. But this one, it's shot completely in daylight. It is sort of a riff on sort of the cult subgenre. It's very cerebral, very precisely slow paced. It's slow, but it's precise. This is the director's cut, which is superior of the two. The theatrical cut is fine. Don't get me wrong. That was my first experience, but it's fine. But literally, you throw the disc in, and there's no menu. There's just a play button. There's 0 bonus features. This movie deserves commentaries, making of featurettes. This thing needs all the love that can be mustered for a movie. Mustard, you know, funny, not color. But there's nothing. Now, the 4K transfer is stunning. It is beautiful. One of the best transfers of the year, highly underrated by most channels. You know, a lot of channels are pouring a lot of love on some other releases when this one is right up there. This movie deserves bonus features. And again, while the packaging at first blush is beautiful, look at how big it is. I know they were going for this whole book thing, but a lot of people, this won't fit on their Blu-ray shelves. Fortunately for me, it does fit on mine. So I think it's a hit and miss on the packaging. Fantastic movie, one of the best of the year. One of the best transfers of the year. That's why it's at number 9 instead of number 2. Alright. Number 8 on my list is More Than One Film. I think as collectors, sometimes we get very heavily focused on boutique releases. And that's fine because the boutique companies are what's keeping us alive. Arrow Video and Vinegar Syndrome and all these companies. But when a major studio puts out a really cool release, it deserves respect and attention as well. And so my number 8 is actually 3 films, and that is the Back to the Future trilogy. So this has all 3 films, of course, really solid 4K transfers. Now, if you're a fan of these movies, you know, most people agree, and I am on the board with this, that the films progressively get worse. For me, Back to the Future is the first, then 2 is really, really good, and 3 is, it's alright, it's fine. It's a good ending, I'm glad they stopped there. So as the films get worse, the transfers get better, because the source material is newer. But all of these transfers are great. I was privileged enough to see the first film, the original, in its 4K restoration at a theater first. So that was phenomenal. But this is book form. A lot of people hate the book. I don't mind the book form with the sleeves there for Blu-ray, because Blu-rays are very tough. Your Blu-rays are not going to get hurt in this. Again, not going to go deep on this. It has been unpackaged before. But deep dive bonus feature-wise here. Really great commentaries and featurettes. There's episodes of the animated series. There's a ton of really great bonus features to unpack for these 3 films. Directed by Robert Zemeckis. Classic science fiction, family science fiction. Very, very fun. Stellar release from Universal. And my next pickup, my next choice. Wow, this is tough. It's hard to see this one so low on the list. But it was a great year. And again, this is a new studio for me. I had never bought anything from Ronin Flicks before. This is my first purchase, and they will be getting more of my business moving forward. Now, I do have another release from them, Cannibal Holocaust. It's from Grindhouse, but I think they're actually selling it. I'm not sure how Ronin Flicks works that way, but that's the closest thing to anything from Ronin Flicks that I have. So this next choice is I Spit on Your Grave. So this is literally passes the tap test, which this one did not. This is kind of a cheaper box here. This is nice material here, very thick cardboard. But what is the most special about I Spit on Your Grave? I Spit on Your Grave is iconic in the genre of grindhouse film. It is an important film of the era. It did something that a lot of similar female badass type of films didn't do. I'm getting tripped on my words here. but it did not titillate. You know, you have a lot of these things like Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS, for example, which is selling itself one way, but it's very titillating in the way it shoots the female form and the nudity and all that stuff. The nudity that is in this film is not titillating. It is disturbing and gross and horrifying, as it is meant to be. So it's not your typical Friday night with friends watch. You're usually watching this with purpose, because it is a hard watch. Simple story: woman goes to a small town for some relaxation. Crazy, like, redneck guys rape her repeatedly because they want to. You know, there is some social commentary about class and that kind of thing that's happening, but mostly this is strictly an assault on feminism, I think, in a lot of ways. So she doesn't die. She recovers. They think she's dead, but she recovers and takes revenge on them in some very fitting and brutal ways. So that film is in here, and it has the original artwork, and it does have reversible art. Again, I went over that before. 30 years later, the original director did a sequel. This movie's terrible. The sequel is trash. It is trying too hard, but not trying enough in a lot of ways. It's not good. What is good on it are the bonus features, the making of, that kind of thing. But outside of this, we really didn't need the sequel. We could have had the original film and this. This is a film called Growing Up with I Spit on Your Grave, done by the original director's son. It's a feature documentary about the making of I Spit on Your Grave and about how it impacted the family of the director, all the way up to the making of the new film, the sequel. It's fascinating, and it tells a lot of, it says a lot about the reasons the first film was even made. Things I didn't know. Essentially that it's based on a true story. Now, a lot of films, like including Texas Chainsaw Massacre, said that from that era. This doesn't say it in the opening title run or anything, but you learn that it is in fact based on something real that happened, visceral, that happened involving the director, and it stayed with him for so long and heavy on his mind that this movie came to be. Number 6 on my list. Now we're getting to another boutique distributor that I love a whole lot, and that is Blue Underground. Blue Underground has been killing it this year with 4Ks. And again, this is a situation where they're not getting talked about enough. You know, Vinegar Syndrome puts out one 4K, and our community can't stop talking about it. But before that, Maniac from Blue Underground was released. This is a William Lustig film, 80s horror film about a serial killer. Very grotesque, very disturbing, very successful in what it wants to do, in atmosphere and storytelling. William Lustig also owns Blue Underground, so of course when there's a new format or new work done, he starts with his own films. This guy loves cinema, so he lovingly restores his own stuff, and then he takes that forward to other releases, as you will soon see. Maniac is stunning. It is Dolby Atmos audio, which is good. This is probably the best Atmos release from Blue Underground. But the thing that's really beautiful in this particular film is the HDR use. It's not heavy, but specular highlights pop, reflections of blood and lips, lipstick, and that kind of thing. They just pop off the screen. Great detail in the 4K presentation also. Tons of bonus features, a few new things here, and a ton of archival stuff because they have done a really nice version of this before. So all that comes together in a beautiful package. Their packaging is not as premium as an Era Video or the Ronin Flicks or some of the others, but their pricing is, better. These are cheaper usually to get. But also, they're doing this consistent run with black slipcovers with embossing or hollow foil or different things on the front, but they stay with the black slipcovers, so they look really good on the shelf. It's a standard 4K box on the inside. I can't complain about the subtle approach to packaging because they do look cool on the shelf together, and they are affordable. All right. Let's see, where are we? Next on the list is another Blue Underground. These two came right together. This particular one should probably be higher on the list, but again, it depends on the day. And that is Lucio Fulci's Zombie. See how these look together? So we have a riff on the original artwork here. We have a little bit of embossing on the even the Blue Underground logo is embossed. So it is a premium slip. It's just not heavy paper. It's not a heavy cardstock. So Zombie, they've done a really good release of Zombie previously on Blu-ray, and you get that in this box. But this 4K, again, is incredible. They make this, what is it, 30-year-old film now? More? 35 maybe? They make this thing look like it was shot a few years ago. Colors pop, but not too much. They are accurate to the film itself. Specular highlights and HDR look beautiful. Detail is phenomenal. That guy right there, you get to see all the detail on this makeup in a way that you've never seen it before when you see this 4K. Again, tons of bonus features, a few new things, some cool new things on this one, and then all the previous stuff that they've done for other releases of the film. If you're only going to buy one Blue Underground release, I recommend this Zombie 4K. All right. Let's get to our top 5. Wait, where are we? I actually think, whoa, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so you got an extra one. I think that one will be pulled out for an honorable mention, and we'll go to this one and call it number 4. We're going to stay at top 10, but I will show you the extra one that I put here because I did forget to pull it out, and I kind of wanted it to be an honorable mention, but it could easily be in this list too. So these are aggressive, these final 4. They really check off all the boxes. Number 4 is Arrow Video's release of Flash Gordon. So this was touted as Arrow Video's first 4K, and it is and it isn't. It's Arrow Video's first distribution of a 4K. Studio Canal actually did this 4K, and they did a beautiful job. I question the audio just a little bit. I think the audio is fine, but it's not... I think it could have used a little more work. But the image is stunning. It is beautiful. This is how do I say this? This is an early 80s film about a guy who's a football player who ends up going to space and saving the world. Let's just put it that way. It's sort of riffing on the old serials of the 1940s and that kind of thing, where it's very, very campy, very silly at times, and this does all that in a really fun way. It's melodramatic, it's high concept, fun action, all of it presented beautifully in this new 4K restoration. Very solid detail. Film grain is consistent but not overbearing. Good color representation. And even more than that, there are some incredible bonus features on this. There are commentaries. I think the biggest bonus feature here for me is the lead actor. There's a documentary, a feature-length documentary about him in his life during the making of the film and afterwards, how the film has impacted his life and continues to. There's a lot to unpack here, and I didn't show the Ronin Flix one. Ronin Flix has one too, but there is a perfect bound book with a bunch of write-ups and essays and that kind of thing. Comes with a poster. Again, the Ronin Flix package is very reminiscent of an Arrow release, and it has all this stuff too. But also passes the tap test. Nice textured, thick cardboard packaging, beautiful on the shelf, stellar release. Campy, fun, entertaining, incredible soundtrack from Queen, by the way, which actually is well represented in the audio. The Queen soundtrack, when it kicks in, it really kicks in. It's beautiful. All right, top 3, you guys. We made it. I'm about to choke here. I'm running out of saliva, but we're gonna keep going because we're almost done. Number 3, we're returning to Vinegar Syndrome. We are returning to Vinegar Syndrome with this particular release. I just got this from the Black Friday release, and did you hear that? Some of you will know exactly what this is just from that pop. I have gone through it, and my mind is completely blown with this, and it is the Beastmaster 4K limited edition. I don't know how long this limited edition will be available. They do appear to still have some as of this recording. So they're actually a patent pending box, and that click is actually the magnet that's right there on the side to hold it shut. I'm not sure why it's patent pending, because this isn't the first time we've seen a magnetized box, but whatever. It is a beautiful box, beautiful artwork, and again, not going to dig into it too deep as far as unboxing, because you can find that in other videos, but there is the actual movie is in a beautiful textured slipcover. There's a perfect bound book in here. Tons and tons of great bonus features to dig into. There are 2 feature documentaries, commentaries. The 4K presentation is maybe the best that Vinegar Syndrome has done so far. Beautiful color depth, solid detail, especially considering the quality and age of the source material. So it stars Mark Singer and Tanya Roberts. I don't know, as of this recording, I saw just today that Tanya Roberts died just recently. And she was not, I think she was in her 60s. It was not due to the pandemic. It was, they say it wasn't. I don't know, I guess we'll find out more later. It's very sad. Tanya Roberts is in this. She was she was a Bond girl. I think she had done Playboy, but she was she's probably most well known for this, her Bond movie, and playing Midge from that 70s show. Sad to see her go. But anyway, killer special edition. Don Coscarelli, director of Phantasm, did this film. The documentary that's in here is great because it goes over how impacted he was by Conan the Barbarian. That movie released 3 months prior to this one, and so this one was basically called a knockoff of Conan, which it is a similar type of thing. It's a Bronze Age action movie, but there's no way this could knock off Conan. It was already basically done. It's just a coincidence. But anyway, look at that. I don't know if you can see that little bit of spot UV that is there. It's just really incredible, the detail here. The only complaints I have is Don Coscarelli went on a major search to find a print, an original print of the movie, and he did find it, but there's nothing, it just gets 15 seconds of mention in the documentary. There should be a featurette or something that follows that process, what he went through. So the other issue is the original feature documentary that's on here was done by Anchor Bay. The 2 documentaries repeat a lot of stuff. Now, the problem is they also have new information between the 2 of them too, so you really have to watch them both to get everything. I kind of wish the makers of the new documentary had studied the original documentary more and gone deeper in a different direction and offered different information so that they would complement each other better. But outside of that, this thing is incredible. Incredible. I think as of this recording, this is like $40 on the Vinegar Syndrome website, which sounds like a lot of money for a Blu-ray release, but that is Criterion price, and this far and above is better than anything Criterion is doing. First of all, it's 4K. So there you go. Okay, top 2. You ready for this? This kills me that this is number 2. This kills me, but it has to be, sadly. My number 2 pick is the Dawn of the Dead 4K from Second Sight. Now, this is an import. You can see it has the ratings blurb right there. Again, this is, I think I said this before when I unboxed this. This This is the only release on my shelf where I've actually kept the J-card, little slipcover-y kind of thing. But this really passes the test on the quality of the box. It splits in the middle. There is an unboxing video, one video dedicated to nothing but this. But you have a beautiful 4K presentation of the film. Again, stunning HDR, really good sound here. This is one of the better sounding 4Ks from a boutique distributor that I have. And tons of bonus features. The Document of the Dead feature documentary about the making of Dawn of the Dead. There's a documentary featurette in here with the sort of extras and the bit players, the bikers and zombies, and it's new, as well as a ton of stuff done for the Anchor Bay release on the DVD set that came out in the early 2000s. You get the entire soundtrack, all the music cues are in here. You get multiple cuts of the film on 4K. You get the original theatrical cut. You get the Romero extended cut, the I think they call it the Cannes cut. Then you get the Dario Argento cut. Argento didn't feel that all the comedy worked in an Italian release, so he recut the film. Romero allowed it because they're friends. Also different music. Goblin did music for it. So you get all of that stuff. This is a ton of discs. You get a paperback book, adaptation of the story. I was going to say novella, but it's actually a novel done by Romero himself. Then you get a nice hardbound book, probably the nicest book in this entire set, with essays and poster art and that kind of thing. This thing is very hard to come by. If you can find, I think I paid $120 shipped. Now the only issue is the multiple 4K discs that are in here will play fine in your player, but the Blu-rays with a lot of the bonus features are region B, so you'll have to work that out with an all-region player or whatever. But this is one of the most complete releases that I have in my collection. It has a set tour where you go back and you see the original locations of the film, including a walk through the mall. It's hard to do it better. I can't think of one thing that we need in here. There's previously never seen Romero interviews about the film. Everything. This is basically a 10 out of 10 4K release here. So you ask why? How is this number 2 if it's perfect? Well, that is a good question. And that is because my number 1 pick, it's challenging because my number 1 pick has some major flaws. But I think for physical media, it is the most important release of 2020. Let me just grab it here, and that is the new Friday the 13th collection from Shout Factory. Shout Factory is a company I have a lot of problems with. But this release is important because we previously had these movies in a box set, and it was a lot of trouble to do because of licensing, because there's multiple studios involved across the entire run of the Friday the 13th films. So that went out of print and became very expensive. So Shout Factory worked their magic. As much as I have issues with this company because I think they overcharge for most of their releases, when they hit it out of the park, they hit it out of the park. And they did that with this one. So each film comes in its own box. This particular set also has an entire disc of nothing but bonus features and the book. The book is small, but it's good. It's a perfect bound book with poster art and some essays and that kind of thing. The first 4 films have new 4K scans, and they're beautiful. Now my issue is their Blu-rays. I would have loved if this set had those first 4 releases, the 1 through 4, in 4K. I have a sneaking suspicion, like the Halloween set they previously released, that eventually they'll put a 4K out of these first 4. And that'll be fine. That'll be fine. I'll get them. But right now, you get the first 4 rescanned. You do get reissues of some of the discs, Jason X and some of the others. I think are just the original discs here repacked. The remake is just a repack. But I think that's how the licensing worked. That was the only way they could put this set out. So we take what we can get. Finally, we have them all together in one set. They range in quality from phenomenal to fine. Nothing is bad in here. Some of the repacked discs are older Blu-rays, so they probably could be done better. They could be encoded a little better and that kind of thing now. But overall, they're good. Tons and tons of bonus features again. Commentaries and making of featurettes throughout the set, and then an additional disc of nothing but bonus features. So again, tons to unpack. Overall, together, probably the most bonus features of anything, but look how many movies they have to cover. So, I mean, that makes sense. This mostly passes the tap test. It's not the most quality feeling in comparison to something like this, but it is nice that cardboard. It'll hold up well on the shelf. The artwork is cool. And I actually pre-ordered this, so I spent the big money. I spent $140, I believe is what it was, and I got the lithograph and the poster that came with this set. You can still find these. These are not completely out of print. They are limited, but they are. You can find them. I've seen people do Best Buy videos where there's one on the shelf, so they're out there, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're just a mild fan of this franchise overall, some of these are really good. The final chapter being my favorite of the entire set. But as a film collector and an archivist, I think this would be something you would want to have in your collection. If you're a student of film, there's a ton of stuff in here, bonus feature-wise. So that's my top 10, you guys. What were your top 10 picks of past year? It was a really hard video to do because there were so many really good ones. Let me know in the comments what your picks were for the top 10 of 2020, and now we're in 2021, so let's see what we got next. I already have some new pickups, some things that didn't come until after the new year and that I still need to look at, and some new releases I already have, so another video is coming your way soon. So hoping this year will be as great a year as 2020 was for physical media. Until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf, share it with your friends and family, or remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV. I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy New Year!